It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're watching the leaked Mandalorian Season 3 trailer. Just going to put it out there.
Through one eye, because I want to see it, but I don't want to see it. It's like I'm treating it like a scary movie on my phone.
It's blurry enough. I think you'll be okay. You won't recognize anything when it comes out on your actual screen, but that's fine. We're going to be talking about that leaked Doctor Doom photo and the implications, wink wink, for the MCU.
The implication.
Yes.
The implication.
Yes, the implications. We're also going to review Ms. Marvel's TV show. Season finale dropped this week, and more. So very excited about everything we got lined up this week.
Yeah, we were talking before we started recording today. We're on the cusp of a lot of things coming up. Comic-Con came up hard and fast around the corner. Didn't even realize it. It's next week.
Yep.
So when you listen to next week's episode, it's going to be our Comic-Con Spectacular. There'll be tons of news for us to talk about, and I'm sure we'll vamp long and hard like you all want us to do about Comic-Con. And then a couple weeks after that, Chris is going to C2E2 in Chicago. And then that would be, because that would put us July, so that would put us in August for C2E2, right? And then it would be maybe about a month after that is when D23, Disney's kind of own homegrown Comic-Con, is going to happen. So, we're going to have just 2 months of just hardcore news.
Well, after that's October, and that's New York Comic-Con, which is the flip side of that. That's
right. And I feel like New York Comic-Con, in my head, I feel like they are the TV con in my head. It always seems like October, it's so close to traditional TV season. It just seems like that's when they're announcing things, but who knows if that's even the case anymore. Well,
New York Comic Con's where we got the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, the Marvels announcements, the Phase 4.5 announcements, right? She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and Ms. Marvel all came out of New York Comic Con a couple years ago.
And I feel like we can just continue painting the rest of the year out, right? Because then you have November, December that come around, and that's when we kind of get the tail end of the big movies of the year, right? We'll
Disney Plus
Avatar.
Day in November.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And there's also another Disney Plus announcement thing that happens right before D23 in September as well. So there's no lack of news, so you'll need this show by your side. That's what I'm saying. And
we've really not had a real run of news stuff like this in several years, right? Several years.
It's got to be from COVID, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
The conventions are in full force, and companies are going back to them.
I would recommend. I mean, we said it for the last 2 years straight at the end of every podcast. Make sure that you're vaccinated. For sure, because the Anime Expo was just a couple weeks ago, and I saw some people saying that the at least the rules and the safety concerns were not taken very seriously at Anime Expo. So I feel like if you're going to be diving into large groups of people, just make sure you're vaccinated, make sure you're boosted. And I think they're coming out with a brand new upgraded 2.0, a version of iOS booster in the fall to kind of tackle some of these new variants. So just make sure you're boosted, wear your mask, just so you can keep going and doing these nerdy things.
If you're going to dress up at conventions, pick one that has a mask, like a Sub-Zero or something.
Exactly. Everybody's Sub-Zero, that'd be great.
Sub-Zero, everyone's a different colored ninja from Mortal Kombat. Just start making up your name, the whole spectrum of ninjas there. I think the other thing, a lot of my coworkers, Machine Gun Kelly came to town, I think a week ago, and literally everyone got sick there. So I'm like, well, that's what you get for going to Machine Gun Kelly concert to begin with. But large gatherings still pose a risk, not for just COVID, but everything else, right? There's still other things that can get you ill out in the world. So be careful with that. Let's move along. I went to a gathering this week, Mike, of my own, and I mentioned it last week, the Marvel Trivia Night, my local bar. World of Beer, and I went in dressed as Star-Lord because that is literally the only costume I've had for the past 8 years. Very easy to put it on, walk in, have a good time. Went with listener of the show, a friend of mine, Jeremy, and listener of the show, Andrew, and my wife, and we were it was a great venue, great themed drinks. They were fantastic. Awful trivia hosts, and I've said this till I'm blue in the face. Literally, I went in expecting at least a level of professionalism. Like, these are real questions, these are real answers. We're not gonna fuck with you, kind of thing. And I'm like, great, I'm gonna be here. We're gonna get this. We're gonna win this. No, literally, it's just a local company, possibly the radio station, doing the trivia. They couldn't even pronounce Thanos, Mike, and I can't mess it up to the degree they messed it up. Is how bad it was. I got
Thanos.
Yeah,
turn the nos on.
It wasn't. It was like, it was awful. I don't even know how they did it. But there were two. I will admit I got one question wrong. Our team got one question wrong, which was if I said the character, who was the love interest? What is the real name of the love interest of Vanessa Carlyle in a movie? And
that's Vanessa. I don't know.
in my quick thinking is Vanessa. I'm like, oh, that's Kingpin. So Wilson Fisk. No, Vanessa Carlyle is Deadpool's girlfriend. So it was Wade Wilson. But in my head, I was like, this is I was like, I messed this up. Fine. But if I was to tell you, Mike, and I even pose this question to you, how many timekeepers were there in Loki, and who was the person behind the timekeepers in the Disney Plus series Loki?
And this was the thing that was crazy, because before you reveal the real answer. The crazy thing about trivia nights, right? Like, if you're going to like a general trivia night at a bar, just out with friends, you expect a bit of casualness from the host, right?
Yep.
Because you're out there just answering like simple either like pop culture questions or what's the state capital of whoever or whatsoever, right? It's chill, it's like laid back. No one's like too upset about it, right? But when you go to specific themed nights, like, you need to like draft somebody that knows what they're doing, either to write the questions or to host the event. Because we've gone to different trivia nights, like for different TV shows or different fandoms, and yeah, it's like a nightmare. Like, if you get like one question wrong, you're full of a room of people that are going to tell you exactly how wrong you were, and then you lose all credibility. So it sounds like that's kind of what you were going through.
So the answer was 3, and the answer in the Loki show is literally he who remains, right? They do not... He said the answer was Kang, and I was like, dude, they don't say that in the show at all. Like, literally me and a couple other people, we're like visually frustrated. We're like, they don't say Kang in the show, right? Like, if he does, he's like, I've gone by several names. But, I'm he who remains. And you're like, even the Marvel.com article for that episode says it. And I'm like, he's like, well, it was Kang in the comic books. I'm like, but you started the question with in the Disney Plus show Loki. And I think that's where it was like, the guy just wasn't going to budge. Like, not because he was wrong, but because he was like, I'm just not going to do it. And then the last question, of course, is name, if you have Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, and Captain Marvel, rank them in order of youngest to oldest at the time of the blip. You would think Captain Marvel's the youngest because she looks the youngest, right? Wrong. Her movie starts, her explosion is in 1989 when she's an Air Force pilot, so she would have to be 23, making hers 67. Tony Stark is 1970. So it was Tony, Captain Marvel, Captain America, Thor, but no, they wanted to do it the other way because that's how she looked, how old she looked in the movie, rather than their actual birth date. And I'm like, that was a 20-point question that would have literally won us the game, had they at least done it. And I'm very frustrated about this because, like, we do this every week. We've done this every week for over 8.5 years. I'm like, I'm not going to come to your trivia nights anymore. Like, literally one bad experience. The fact they wouldn't even work with me on it. Not for points, but just because I'm like, look, if you want to say it's Kang and give those people credit, that's fine. But the answer is he who remains. And most of us had it. So It was just very disappointing, and I would not recommend trivia night. I wish I could recommend trivia nights, but like this is just a very big letdown for
know
me.
what? This is a quest out there for people to start your own trivia nights. Fall on the sword. You don't get the one that gets to play, but you could be the one that makes the questions and make everybody else's night. So if you own a bar, if you know somebody else that owns a pub, a restaurant, you could be the savior of your community.
And that's what we kind of came to the conclusion with as I was ranting about this over the next 4 or 5 days. Is they were like, "Why don't you do it?" I'm like, "I would love to. I have a personality to be a host at a trivia night." So. Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even care. The prizes they were giving away I already had. It was more about just like, hey, I know what I'm talking about here. So, thoroughly disappointed. Would not recommend any Louisville area trivia nights. They can suck it. Moving on, Mike. Speaking of things that suck, but that's because they're vampires. What are you watching here?
Well, Chris, your double entendre is not lost on me. The wife and I decided to check out Hotel Transylvania, which is a film series. I would love to say by Genndy Tartakovsky, who has made some of my favorite animated TV shows like Samurai Jack or Dexter's Laboratory or Primal. But he really just seems to be a director in the sense of he puts together the animation, and these really feel like Adam Sandler movies. More than anything else. We watched the first two, and I didn't really keep super close eye on the credits, but it seems like Adam Sandler had maybe even more control over the sequel, and we definitely stopped watching after the second one.
There are four, right? Total?
Yeah, there are 4 of them. The first one and the most recent one, which would be the 4th one, are streaming, and we made the poor decision to rent the second one for $3.99, which we really
You're not getting your time or money back.
Yes, exactly. The first one's fine. Like, honestly, the first one's not that bad. You can kind of stream it on Amazon Prime's free streaming service, which I think is called FreeV, which used to be known as IMDb TV. So just a couple commercials, and you can watch that one for free. And it's fine, right? I would say it's like a solid like B-, C+. Some fun monster gags in there. The animation is kind of a little bit of a breath of fresh air because it seems a lot more zany than you get in a lot of kind of professionally featured animated films, which you don't get too much anymore. I feel like there's a lot more attention on like realism or subversion with a lot of animated stuff, which isn't bad nowadays, but straight up zany antics happening in Hotel Transylvania. But yeah, the story just tanks off a cliff in the second one, and won't be watching any more of those. But, it's kind of fun. The voice acting of Dracula from Adam Sandler is, like, identical to me to the voice acting of Gru from Steve Carell in the Minions franchise. Well, no, it's actually a Despicable Me franchise, but I guess Minions franchise is actually more accurate, right? But, like, Adam Sandler and Steve Carell just, like, doing these voices, like they're not even like voices. It's like the voice that you give like a can of like tomatoes when you're like alone in the kitchen and you want like the cans, like you're making inanimate objects talk to each other, like, but you happen to make it sound a little bit like Dracula. So that's my own little complaint there with Hotel Transylvania.
It reminds me of when Mike Myers starts doing his accents in like the Austin Powers movies and stuff.
Yeah,
look, you're trying, but I know who's under there.
Yeah, it's like I know you're giving me a different voice, but it's not any voice that I've ever heard before or can identify as anything. So yeah, soft recommendation on the first Hotel Transylvania, but like skip any ones after that. If you're like a super fan and you tell me, oh man, it really picks up in the third one, I mean, maybe I'll give it a shot. But on Netflix, there's a brand new Resident Evil series that dropped, and I can only thank the marketing team on this one that got me to play the first episode, because there's this kind of cool like fake 3D billboard in Times Square for the show
the
right
liquor.
now. Yeah, it's like those billboards, like it comes out, but then it curves a little bit. So if you're looking at it like at a perfect corner, like it's really visually impactful. It's really, really cool. But unfortunately, I don't know if I'll ever get to see what the liquor looks like because I just couldn't make it through the first episode. Like what I was watching wasn't necessarily bad, right? But I feel like when you're adapting, like especially an IP, if you're just trying to get my attention nowadays, I feel like you gotta go crazy. You gotta go different. You gotta go unique. You gotta bring some new element to it. And they're doing that a little bit with like the story angle, starting off with the Wesker family, and then they're jumping forward from the future to the past. But there's just not enough here that like grabs me. Like zombies are just so hard for me to care about anymore. Like I don't think I've ever been so oversaturated with zombie content in my life.
I think I'm gonna say that you did this to yourself by rewatching Resident Evil this year, because other than that, I don't know what zombie content is out there right now. Maybe the What If, but What If was last year.
Yeah, Walking Dead is still going strong. You should see the Walking Dead's, like, I think they have like a Comic-Con poster or something, artwork that they've made, and it's just like the perfect example of quantity over quality. It's like put every Walking Dead character that's ever existed on this poster, and it's freaking massive. It looks like one of those like big omnibus like Marvel posters, right, where you get to see all of your fun characters, but they're all like disheveled people in Georgia on your poster for it. But I'm hoping that the thing that changes all of this is early next year when we'll be getting the Last of Us TV show on HBO. Because in spirit, they're zombies, but in the narrative, they're actually like fungal, infected style people. So I think there could be a little bit of a variation there, because there's like a horde of zombies in the opening of Resident Evil, and it's just like the zombies all look the same nowadays, and you can't really make anybody look undead a different way. There's a big giant worm caterpillar thing, so I don't know. Maybe if I stuck with the Resident Evil show, maybe I'd get more of that.
I don't think you would. The reviews I've read have not been kind.
Yeah, maybe I'll just find a way to fast forward to like the liquor section. Like I'll Google like what episode does the liquor pop up in or something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah. It's unfortunately I feel like I got to pass on the Resident Evil show.
Yeah, I mean I think they say it's just kind of run of the mill, but like it's because for some reason this is connected to the other Resident Evil games. However, that's not our real Albert Wesker. I don't know if they ever answered it, but that'd be the only question I have is how is this Albert Wesker when there's actually the ones who died in the game. So I would love to see it, but to me I heard it was just kind of middle of the road for like a premise like this. I'm like, well, you don't want to be middle of the road.
Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but the actor that's playing Albert Wesker, he has like a little scene where he goes to the principal's office, right? Because his daughter like got in trouble at like the Umbrella Academy school, or not the Umbrella Academy. Umbrella Corporation. The Umbrella Corporation school, which technically could be an academy, so I could call it an Umbrella Academy and still be correct. Yeah. But he's kind of like flexing some of his kind of like gray area, evil kind of muscle in that scene. I was like, okay, this is cool. So maybe if there's more of this to be promised, I'd watch more of the show. But yeah, anyway, Resident Evil, I think, unfortunately, I would say pass on that one. And just go watch The Boys.
That's out there. Umbrella Academy. There's a lot of other shows out there. But I mean, Netflix has the Resident Evil movie was a letdown, and now their show. So they cannot be trusted with this IP at this rate. It sounds like so. Cool. Speaking of The Boys, did you do this on purpose? I'm just now
catching.
I did. Okay, perfect.
That was my transition.
Because I'm not thinking. So The Boys was at Comic-Con for the first time 3 years ago, 2019, right before it launched, and now at Comic-Con this year, they're going to be taking their spin-off series called Gen V there. This is will follow the exploits of college-age superheroes at Vought College, something where they're all superpowered people trying to be bought by contracts and be on different teams in different cities. Sounds a lot like literally My Hero Academia as they get older, but with The Boys, so probably very much R-rated. So I don't know much else about this, but I think it's a great name for it. I'd be interested in catching it, but I'm not like I didn't really watch the Boys animated spin-off stuff, so I don't know how invested I'm going to be in this one either. I could be proven wrong though.
I'm sure some of the animated stuff was canon.
Yeah, it is.
But it seems like if there was a spinoff to watch, it would be this one. I would assume Point Grey, which is the production company from Seth Rogen and I think Evan Goldberg, the ones that kind of make all of these things that we love to watch. I feel like they would take this in a more serious matter. Not so much of like a money grab of like, oh, let's do a spinoff and keep cashing in on this like comic book series of like, no, let's like tie it into the broader world. I'm sure there's a reason there's a Superhero Academy and Who knows? Maybe we'll see some like crossover characters, because I feel like we have the advantage of this isn't necessarily like a spin-off like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was back in the day, where they were like pulling tooth and nail just to get a cameo from Sif in it, right? Seems like, oh, if we want like Homelander to stop by, like we're gonna get Homelander to stop by, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like I said, I hope so. I'm not saying that I'm tuned out right away, but I'm just like, well, if you're gonna drop the boys spinoff on us, you've got to bring quality to the table, like you said. Like you can't just do a quick grab. So hopefully we'll see something come out of Comic-Con this coming weekend and be able to talk better about it next week. But they did say the title is Gen V, so yeah, good for them. That'll be some boys content to fill us while we wait for the next season of The Boys. Batgirl, I keep forgetting this movie exists. It's filming. It's got a bunch of bad people in it. Michael Keaton's Batman, but it's also got J.K. Simmons, Jim Gordon, so we don't know how it's going to work out. But it is getting a 2023 theatrical release in the UK. Now, I say this because we, in America, are getting it on HBO Max, supposedly at the end of this year. Now, you may be asking us, well, why would someone else get it in theaters and us not? HBO Max, as people may or may not have noticed, Disney Plus, other streaming services have different rights in different countries where they can show things, do things. Maybe they feel Batgirl will resonate stronger in the UK, and the rights to America were only on HBO Max. I don't know, but this sounds like they feel fairly confident about this product if they're looking to put it in theaters there.
I don't know. I feel like I would almost hedge my bets on what you were saying earlier. There's like almost like a legal reason in other countries it's hitting theaters. Maybe not so much that they think the movie would perform better theatrically, but it seems like more like, oh, we think it's going to perform better for our streaming numbers here in the States. We want to increase subscribers more in the United States more than we care so much about doing it in other countries. So that would be my guess. It's just more of a strategic streaming thing, not so much like quality, but I still hope it's good.
Yeah, I think they probably have the opportunity not to put it in theaters if they wanted to. They're like, yeah, we'll just save it. However, with the advent of streaming services comes the increased chances it'll be pirated or leaked online early. And the other fact is, the UK, they're very interesting in what movies they have. They actually have all the Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus in the UK. So I was kind of jealous that they kind of have all those over there. I even think the Incredible Hulk is on there because, fun fact, I was updating my posters and my MCU playlist this week on my Chris Flicks, right, where I could see how long is the MCU total when you put all the episodes and shows together. And we don't know the timeline for Phase 4, right, for most of it. We don't know. We assume it takes place when it airs. Well, Disney Plus in the UK has the official Disney Plus timeline, including Spider-Man in it. So I was able to pinpoint some of these a little better. That Far From Home takes place Far From Home, then No Way Home, and then Doctor Strange before Hawkeye even. So even Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. So they're before some of these other shows. So it's very great to have that opportunity. But I'm kind of jealous we don't get that here because I know some people who want to watch Spider-Man and they just can't find it anywhere to watch it. Speaking of Spider-Man, Mike, this one's throwing a wrench in your headcanon here, and I knew it, and that's why I sent it to you immediately when I saw it. Madam Web, the movie everyone has so many questions about, and not a lot of faith, has added actor Adam Scott from the recently Emmy-winning, or at least Emmy nominated Severance to the cast list. We don't know what he's playing though.
Yeah, this is very bizarre. There was also a couple set photos that came out from Madam Web this week where it looks like at least part of the movie is like anchored like solidly in like in 2000. Yeah. Like there's like Palm Pilots or something on like a taxi cab
like,
ad or something
like singular that. like companies that only existed in like 2000, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows if that is some people are like theorizing like, oh, maybe this is like in the Raimi-verse or
Raimi-verse?
Raimi-verse, if you will.
Yeah.
Which could be a cool way to make me care about it, right? You know, to kind of tie it in with Tobey Maguire in a way, and maybe you kind of match Sam Raimi's like style of New York, which I really am drawn to. But the thing I always say about like these Sony Spider-Man movies, the kind of offshoot movies, is like I feel like actors when they take the roles don't always know exactly what they're signing up for, right? You know, their agents just tell them, "Oh, it's a Marvel movie. You finally get to be in a Marvel movie." And like, "All right, yeah, let me sign it." And they don't really seem to dive into it. But I feel like Adam Scott's smarter than that. He's like really good at like picking roles and the stuff that he chooses to be in. So I love him so much. I hope he knows what he's getting himself into. So I'm either hedging my bet that this is a really, really small role, and if the movie's bad, it's not that big of a deal. He can just kind of like, oh, they gave me a big paycheck, and you know they'll never see me again. Or maybe he read the tea leaves. Maybe he saw somewhere on the script that this is going to be great, and he knows the creative team in some way and decided to sign on because I'm sure he can get whatever role he wants in Hollywood right now. I feel like his career is really skyrocketing. So, yeah, very conflicted, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great actor. He's known for his comedic chops, but he does have his drama side, right? Again, both places here. I kind of would pin if they're going to do the Spider-Verse, right? Because you have Madam Web, who's a clairvoyant who can see across the Spider-Verse. It's also got added Sydney Sweeney from that show Euphoria, right? Dakota Johnson. One of the girls from Ghostbusters Afterlife. They've got a pretty good cast here, which has me excited about. But like I was like, maybe if he's going to be maybe he could be a minor villain with a character called Morlun. Are you familiar with Morlun from the comics yet?
Absolutely not.
Perfect. So he is people who are like attracted to spider totems in other universes, right? There's a spider person like in every world, right, that we've seen and across the Spider-Verse. So he is attracted to those people, and what he and his family of universe hoppers do is literally eat the spider people. Now but that keeps them like that, like gives them like longevity, like their powers and stuff like that. Like they're strong and they're kind of invulnerable and like I don't know, but they look very like I guess like old school, like I'm lacking the word here, like French, like they have the high collars, right, the puffy shirts from that era. So like I could totally see Adam Scott like leaning into that a little bit, like playing this like kind of upper class kind of thing where he's like, you know, yeah, I'm above you, but like maybe he's not even in it that much. It could be like a larger dangling thread across the spider web.
He could be a banker. Who knows?
Yeah.
he could just be like totally detached. Maybe he's just like Dakota Johnson's like boyfriend or something that gets like killed by a villain or something in the first act. Who knows? Either way, I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to say go watch Severance. It was nominated. I feel like for every Emmy category that it was eligible for because the show is great and amazing. You got to go watch it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, again, before we go, huge name grab. That's a big thing for these movies that really need lift, because I think Jared Leto's a big name, but he's not good in everything he does. Adam Scott, I can't think of anything I don't like him in. He's even a highlight in Step Brothers, right, as as Will Ferrell's brother. So yeah, and his wife is Catherine Hahn, who is Agatha Harkness. I'm starting to see this universe collide, Mike. That is Step Brothers is now MCU canon right now.
There you go.
Yes. Star Wars. We're gonna shift gears to Star Wars Acolyte, the High Republic era Star Wars show about the dark side users. Right, has reportedly rumored today tapped Kate Herron, who directed the Loki series for this show, because she's not returning for Loki 2. Obviously, a lateral move would be to a Star Wars series, right? When those are available. So Kate Herron is moving over to direct that show. So that gives me a little bit. This one I have like the least amount of knowledge about, right? Because we don't know Star Wars High Republic, but you know, dark side user, awesome. Kate Herron did a great job with Loki. I think this is a pretty big win here.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now in my head, Loki and WandaVision are seemingly tied for the #1 kind of Disney Plus Marvel adaptation. So yeah, if some of that DNA is going to rub off on something else, I'm okay.
And I think of the shows, I believe, just kind of off, Loki probably featured the most CGI heavy, the most sci-fi concepts, I believe. So adding those to the Star Wars universe would be great if she can handle those. Make it look fantastic, because Loki was visually one of the most beautiful shows they've had on there. But also tangentially, Jason, as we said at the top show, The Mandalorian, the season 3, the Star Wars Celebration trailer, the 6th one, has leaked online. It's everywhere. We've put up a link. It may go dead. You never know. Online, and it's a good 90 seconds or so, maybe a little more. I don't think there's not a lot of plot points here. There's not a lot of things, like, it's very, someone filmed it from their phone in the dark theater. So there are people cheering, pretty much woo-girling the entire time of this video. So I don't think it's the best quality, but it is fun to, get to see the return of the Mandalorian, Grogu, his new ship, some returning characters from the other seasons. Pretty stoked here. Now, I did want to pose this theory. Do you think they would release this next week at SDCC or save it for Disney Plus Day, because this is a February release?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Is there a Star Wars panel at Comic-Con, or is that just listed as Marvel, or is it just a Disney panel at large and holidays?
So I'm
not entirely sure.
Marvel has their own panel, and let's see. There's always so much Star Wars convention exclusive toys and figures, right? So let me see here.
I'll use this as an opportunity to say, as I alluded at the top of the show, I kind of watched the trailer from like a distance. Like, I saw what it was. It was just casually in my Twitter feed, and I kind of held it at arm's length away from me and squinted at it, because I was like trying to decide as I was watching it, do I want to keep watching it? And I did. But as Chris said, it is taken from a voyeuristic point of view, and I didn't even turn the audio on for it. So, but what I could get from it, it's just kind of like just like a fun little shot reel, right? Not a lot of plot points. You just get to see more ambiance of where we're going to be. A lot more Mandalorian stuff in general, right? Mandalorian locations, Mandalorian armor. We know that that's where he's going. That's kind of where this season is pivoting to. But Chris, I don't know if you saw this one either, and I don't know how much, if it's like a teaser or what it's attached to, but there's also an Ahsoka one that's floating around. I just saw it on TikTok, I think last night, and I did the exact same thing. Like, I squinted, put it far away, and this one is much shorter, because when I was about to exit out of this leaked Ahsoka trailer, it ended. So, and what I saw seemed like very, very, very like kind of like con audience exclusive. It did not seem like a trailer that you would slap a logo on and then throw it up on YouTube, right? Because it was just a series of clips. But there was like one establishing shot in that Ahsoka trailer that I think revealed some sort of character that I was not familiar with, because there was an audience woo, and I was like, what am I looking at here? I don't know what it is, so I'm assuming it's like a Rebels character or something like that. I know we're on the lookout for what's that main Rebels character, that guy
Ezra Bridger.
Ezra, yeah. I don't know if that was him necessarily, but maybe it was, because I think it was like the backs of people's heads. So that's another trailer floating around out there. There's so much leaking right now. It's begging to come out sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah, I'm looking here. I can't find a Star Wars panel anywhere, so that's going to be interesting. Marvel has 2 panels, actually. So it looks like Primal. Nope, that's Giddy. Nope. Mandalorian.
If there's a second Marvel panel, my assumption that it would probably be like a Marvel Comics panel.
No, it's
right?
It's Marvel Animation. Their animation studio is getting a panel this year, actually. So, yep, no Star Wars while you were looking that up. But I haven't seen the Ahsoka one yet. I have seen, again, those stills they had when they announced all the shows a while back about the was it that new Clone Wars animated style one? Like, is it Legacies or not Legacies? Tales from the Jedi coming out, but I have to go look that up. But yeah, so you can check out this trailer on here, whether you want to or not. But like I said, quality's not all there. It's just a fun little hype thing, because we are so far away from the Mandalorian this time. However, the other part was this week the Gremlins director has come out and accused the show, The Mandalorian, of stealing his Mogwai designs for Grogu. Grogu is just a baby Yoda species, right? They call him Baby Yoda, which is what he is. So I don't know if anyone's really... Yes, they look similar, but Star Wars was before this. So, what... I don't feel anyone's in the wrong. It just feels like he's lashing out because he's more popular than Gremlins now. You feel?
Yeah, to me, from an artist's point of view, right? People should be very protective over their designs. I get it because it's your intellectual property, it's your copyright, and also it's just like your authenticity in your work of art. But every artist at some point in time in their life will admit, you go outside and you look for inspiration, like when you're making art, right? And I'm sure that when they were putting Baby Yoda together, well, I guess back then they probably knew maybe his real name was Grogu, but when they were putting Grogu together, I'm sure they had a vision board that had some gremlins up on there and probably some other things as well. So obviously you can see the inspiration in there, but it's hard to say that it's just a one-up, like, lifted design, right? Mm-hmm. There's like no fur anywhere to see on the gremlin that you can kind of see majorly with like Gizmo. And if you compare it to like I guess an evil gremlin in a way, right? Then the less cutesy ones, like the resemblance is even further away, right? Yeah. So even when you take the hair off, you're getting further away from the design. So yeah, I think the dude just probably has an axe to grind with like Disney or something in a way.
I haven't been in the news since 1984. How can I get here?
Yeah. Also, too, I don't know the context of this too. So who knows? Maybe it was just like an offhanded question. Yeah. In like a junket, because I know like the Secrets of the Mogwai or something. It's like an animated is coming out soon, so maybe they just asked him. He just like threw off like just a one-off thing. It's hitting the news cycle, so there might not be much behind it to begin with.
Right? Yeah, big ears, little eyes. That's about. I'm looking up. I'm like, I'd be more upset with Furby stealing my designs than Star Wars, but. Everyone, no one's really losing. You've had your chance with Gremlins. You did your 2, made your money. Now you got a show, and I think people can all exist in the same line. So, I think his name's like Joe Dante or something like that. It's weird. Sit down. It's fine. Speaking of little bitty creatures that are going to adorn your house forever, I Am Groot, the show, the animated live action one shots that are coming up, has one called Magnum Opus. And it's to premiere in theaters next week, but only if you watch Thor: Love and Thunder again.
Is this like why do I have to go see Love and Thunder again to see this?
That's just the debut of it to see it first. It will all be on Disney Plus in August, but this is the way to see it early, kind of thing. So like, if you go see Thor: Love and Thunder, you can again. I'm sure someone in their, I wouldn't say marketing, someone in their ticket sales department was like, how can we get more ticket sales in week 3?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. There was news that they were seeing a pretty significant drop off for the second weekend of Love and Thunder, and the actual factual news was that they saw an 80% drop off on Friday. Not for the whole second weekend, so I'm sure the drop off is going to be less than 80% for the whole.
68% currently.
Yeah, still not. I mean, not great, right? You would hope that you would see a little less there. So,
but
yeah,
it's also
juice the numbers.
It's also over $500 million worldwide, so I don't think they're overly concerned about hitting their numbers. But this is I wouldn't say it's a trick. I'm not taking my kids to see Thor: Love and Thunder, but like this is. I feel cheated. Like, put this before Thor: Love and Thunder anyway, right? Like, maybe people would go back and see it again. I don't know. Maybe I'd sneak into the movie theater and watch a screening to catch this before it goes. Like, hey, why are you leaving? Well, I didn't really want to watch Thor.
Yeah, it's like this one's going to leak so easily, right? Because at least, like, people that are doing cams on opening weekend, they have to contend with a larger audience. Like, there's a good chance the person that cams this I Am Groot thing is going to be in an empty theater, on week 3.
Right. Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say, like, someone who's going to cam, like, literally I can see any of my friends who've not gone yet, who just haven't had time and are going on a Tuesday, say that, like, literally film this and send it to me while they're watching the movie. I'm like, just hold your phone. No one's going to care. But, yeah, it kind of sucks there. Now, they all will... all 5 of these will drop on Disney Plus on August 10th. So the week before was it She-Hulk, we will get to see them all. So do not be upset you're not going back to Thor to see this again. However, be prepared for them to be literally on YouTube. By maybe Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, if we're lucky. I've already seen 4 or 5 versions of Thor: Love and Thunder in cams online anyway, Mike. So I can totally see this tagging on there. Moving on, Ironheart. You mentioned her at the top of the show, right? I know it was before we started talking about how Ironheart is on some merchandise and how much she might be in the movie. However, the show is still filming, right? Or at least has been filming. So they've added actor Alden Ehrenreich, who is known to be Han Solo in the Solo movie, to the show. I think he's a great actor. I don't have a problem with him. He was also in, what was it? The movie about making movies in the 20s, and he had like that weird cowboy accent the whole time.
Yeah,
I'll come back to it here in a minute. But like, as an actor, what I've seen him in, I don't have a problem with him. I don't know what he's going to play. I don't know what he's going to do in this show. But I think that's good for him to be in it. So
yeah, I think it just kind of shows you the insular quality of Disney as a company, right? Like, hey, we were here doing this Han Solo movie. What else you got on the plate? If you want to keep me, I might jump over the Warner Brothers, maybe, if you don't put me on something else.
Yeah, I think he's a good actor, and again, I don't know what he's going to play, but adding more, actors. We know to the MCU seems to be the process these days, right? Everyone's got a show. Everyone's getting on a show, so we can do that because his counterpart to that, and so Emilia Clarke, is in Secret Invasion. Along that, the villain in Solo is literally the Vision. And have we got Woody Harrelson in the MCU yet? We haven't, have we?
He was Venom. I mean, that's
not
really
MCU. In the MCU, Mike, please. Movies we want to watch. I actually forgot all about that till you said that, but that still doesn't make it right. But yeah, that's great. Ironheart. I want to know more about the show. It sounds like it takes place after Black Panther 2, right? So will she have a suit by then? I don't know. We'll talk about some more of that here in a little bit. Captain America 4 is in fact, filming. We talked about the director being hired last week, or not filming, coming up to be a movie. Talked about the director last week. I sent you a photo earlier this week, Mike, showing. I don't know the actress's name off the top of my head, but she plays Sharon Carter in the in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Captain America, Winter Soldier, Civil War. On the poster with Sam Wilson. So it makes me think she's going to be coming back for this movie. I know that we said we really didn't care for her in the show, right? They kind of left her in a weird spot. She has more of a white suit on in this. It looks kind of like, to me, the Black Widow suit from the Black Widow movies, right? The white one. Mm-hmm. But apparently this design was for the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, and they just never used it on her. Or maybe they cut it. So it looks like she will be probably, I'm going to guess, an antagonist in the upcoming movie. Now, we've heard all this stuff through reports online. I'm thinking San Diego Comic-Con, they're going to bring out officially who's in this movie and who's directing it on stage for us. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about San Diego Comic-Con next weekend is it'll be a filter, right, for we know what's probably going to be at D23. If we see a Black Panther 2 trailer at Comic-Con next weekend, we're probably not going to see a whole lot of Black Panther at D23 in September. That would be my guess. So
maybe
we'll use San Diego Comic-Con as the great filter.
Yeah, I'd say Black Panther 2 is a bad example because the movie's coming out in November, but I know what you're saying. Like, they're not going to double dip on new announcements, right? They're not going to bring out the cast of, here's our main people in Captain America 4 twice to do it. But yeah, I'd be very interested to see. I don't know where this movie's going to go. I don't know who the villain's going to be. We don't know a lot about it, but this is going to be a very interesting film to be out there.
I think probably one of my bigger questions about Captain America 4 is this where Bucky is going to be relegated to, right? Is this where his character is going to be attached? He's always going to be with Sam Wilson on his adventures. Is Bucky ever going to get an offshoot? Is Bucky's kind of narrative kind of coming to a close, right? eventually you gotta kill off heroes in your series to give it a little bit of an impact. I could definitely see, Bucky doing like a sacrificial move.
It'd be his third
right?
death.
Yeah,
at this
at
point.
some point in time. So I don't know. Like, where does Bucky go? I'm way more interested in Bucky than I am Sam Wilson, just because I just think the character is more interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Captain America 4 is going to be redemption for me. Like, please redeem Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I did not like, and make me like these characters once again. I used to.
But I don't think the characters are the problem in that show, right? I think we talked about the pacing. There's no villain. It's weird the whole way through. I think if you're gonna get, the internet is the biggest attractor of the show, right? To put it blunt, nobody wants on the internet, the vocal minority wants a black Captain America. So how do you get those people to come buy the tickets? I think it's a great idea. It's worked in the comics for years. But what's going to be the compelling pull, right, to try to convince the naysayers, hey, you're wrong, and they're not review bombing this kind of thing, because those are the people who, like, give them something they want as the villain or as the story, and they'll probably be back on board. I think it would be cool. This is no way in hell going to happen. What if you come to find out, Hydra's still around or something, and they've cloned Steve Rogers, so you get an evil Chris Evans as the villain.
Oh no! Don't do that, Chris.
I would love that. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be interesting.
No, I think Chris Evans had such a great send off. We don't need to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can throw him in What If. That's fine, but I think live action he should let that rest.
Well, I disagree. The only thing I think people would be okay with him doing is the returning all of the Stones series on like Disney Plus. Like, hey, here's him actually going back and returning all the Stones and his adventures in that before he went back to the 40s. To see him like deal with the Red Skull again, I think it would just be a very episodic. Like, here's one stone per episode, do 6 episodes. It'll be fun. On the flip side, I do think we will get a Fantastic Four announcement this weekend. I'm feeling pretty confident in this, based on absolutely nothing, but still.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
the last time they said anything officially about the Fantastic Four was the previous Comic-Con, right? Isn't that when they teased? Where was that? What convention was that at? There was an announcement, they're like, we're doing it. We're doing Fantastic Four. Here's like a pre-viz logo of what it's going to be, and that was it.
Was that Disney Plus
anything
Day?
Else? I don't even know what it was, Chris. But it's been a while. This is another milestone to do it. If we don't get it at Comic-Con, like I said, maybe D23 is the place we'll get it.
Let's see here. Disney Plus, the presentation, the investor presentation in 2020. That long ass day where we sat on the stream all day.
That was a fun day.
It was a great day. I loved it. So the whole point is being there. John Watts has stepped away. He's doing his show on Disney Plus. Totally fine. Possibly coming back for more Spider-Man. Totally fine. They need a new Fantastic Four director since John Watts has stepped away. This is not something you cast somebody new to do, right? This is a huge property. You want someone carrying this. I think this is a multiverse of madness scenario, and the current rumor is that Marvel is courting Steven Spielberg himself to lead and direct the Fantastic Four project.
Oh my god, it would be funnier if it was Martin Scorsese, right?
Oh my gosh,
use his own words and direct a Marvel movie. It would be very interesting from the perspective of Steven Spielberg, right? So many directors which have made their own Marvel movies, all look up to him as a director in some way or another, have got inspiration from him as his craft, so like kind of getting the OG in a sense to come in and do a Marvel movie. I don't know, right? I feel like Steven Spielberg, as his career has lengthened, right? His hits are starting to be outnumbered with misses, right? Which is I'm not saying he's not talented at his craft.
I don't think so. I think his output's just less. What Ready Player One, whether you like it or not, was still a hit. West Side Story,
Well, box office success, is different.
But that's what Marvel wants.
Success.
That's what they want, though.
But I mean, if you're looking at, like, you know, as most people in Hollywood do, they judge you based on your last thing. I've only heard stellar things about West Side Story, which, you know, came out just last year. So yeah, it would be interesting, right? I mean, what's like the next closest example to kind of one of these? It's weird to say historic director, right? Because it's not like he's dead. You know, he's still alive.
He's storied, right? Like he has decades under his influence, but he's not old.
Like maybe I mean, I guess Sam Raimi would be the next maybe like close equivalent in the Marvel universe, but like Christopher Nolan possibly.
I say Nolan was the first person in my head because he has so many movies, but he doesn't have, again, the history like Spielberg does. And Spielberg, I think, has a better smattering of who has the genre coverage that Spielberg has, right? Like, you know, Ready Player One, Minority Report, Jurassic Park, I said Indiana Jones, you know, West Side Story, Lincoln, you know, Saving Private Ryan. Like, there's so many different things. Jaws, even, right? Like, this guy has so many, I guess, genres under his belt.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure even somebody like Kevin Feige, who is probably ultimately going to be the decider who gets this job, right, looks up to a director like Spielberg. I'm sure Feige for the last like 20 years has just been hiring people his junior, you know, and now he's got to kind of court some of these more like storied directors, as you say. But at the same time, if there's anybody that could say no to you when you give them notes, I feel like Steven Spielberg is that type of guy who, have just like, if he doesn't want to play ball within the MCU, right? If he doesn't want to worry about where this is connecting, I don't know. I don't
think he'd say yes if that was the rules along the way, though. I don't think that's something they surprise him with.
It's a big question mark, but if somebody said to me, Mike, would you be interested in watching a Marvel movie directed by Steven Spielberg? The answer is yes.
Absolutely.
I would like, if I had some sort of omniscient power, I wouldn't say no. So I'd be curious to see how this goes.
Yeah, I'm just literally pulling up a list of influential directors, right? Like kind of along the lines. Only a couple of them are still alive. Martin Scorsese, again, one of them. Still looking here. I'm trying to figure out if Francis Ford Coppola. He's still making movies, I believe, but you know, he's got The Godfather under his belt. Yeah, I don't know who I do. I think Spielberg would be a great, knowing his history. I really enjoy his sci-fi stuff, right? Jurassic Park, Minority Report, AI. I think he'd be fantastic at some of these science fiction things, movies, and really drive the concepts home. I know. He's not doing Indiana Jones 5. That is the guy who did Logan. But, you know, he doesn't have anything on his plate that I'm seeing here. So I think this would be a great, fantastic thing to do.
He's the type of man in his career where he is almost more of a producer than anything else, right? He just produces, like, literally everything. So...
Yeah, and he, like, with that authority, he can pick and choose his projects. He doesn't need Marvel to make or break him at this point in his career. But by God, watching a Fantastic Four trilogy from Spielberg, or at least a 1960s set Fantastic Four directed by him, would just be awesome. I think this would be a slap in the face to the Star Wars sequel trilogy, who got J.J. Abrams, who's a wannabe Spielberg, to do. So if anything else comes out next weekend, obviously we'll cover it, but I think if that was like the and one more thing scenario, I would not that would be awesome. That would be a fantastic announcement.
Yeah, they have him walk out on stage. He's there.
Yeah,
people lose their goddamn minds.
And possibly maybe even some cast. Like, hey, we've at the point where we have cast.
Yeah. I did see some rumored casting news for Mr. Fantastic. The actor looked familiar, but I wasn't.
So it's the guy from the show You on Netflix.
Oh, that's why he looked familiar.
Yeah.
I've never watched You, but it's pervasive enough to where I've seen photos of the cast like over the years.
So he's a top fan favorite to be that role now.
Gotcha.
Knowing Krasinski probably won't return as it after his little outing. Speaking of Fantastic Four, you can't say Fantastic Four without thinking of Dr. Victor Von Doom himself. Mm-hmm. And this week, in the most obscure piece of news that crossed my thing, is a rumored first look at the villain in an upcoming MCU movie. Looking at this, I'm pretty sure we've determined it as concept art or a previs, right? Very much so. I cannot tell where he is or who he's with, but I will tell you this is a classic Doom look.
Yes,
by far.
It's almost so classic. I feel like we have to be careful how much we even take from it, right? Because I feel like when it comes to like the pre-visualization and pre-production for these movies, right? Marvel gets these amazing illustrators and they sit down and they say, hey, just see what you come up with, right? They don't even really have a direction on what the character is supposed to be doing or supposed to be looking like, right? Like if you get any of these art of Marvel books or if you follow any of these illustrators on social media, they will share their art a lot of the time. And it's like, oh, here's my first pass on, Ant-Man back in the day before we knew what he was going to look like, right? So this very much could just be what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
An artist got an assignment to be like, draw Doom like in the MCU, do whatever you want to do. So someone's like, okay, well, my first pass, let's do the classic Doom. Like if I took him right out of the comic book, what would he possibly look like? And like if you want to, I guess, authenticate, the concept art in a way, I feel like if you kind of look at these server racks in the background, right, or if you maybe look at some of the other visual language, it feels like MCU, right? I feel like this is kind of what technology usually or hardware looks like when I'm watching an MCU movie.
And also it kind of reminds me, like, to me, I first thought of like Claw's ship with the vibranium in Age of Ultron a little bit.
Yeah.
Looking at it, like it does feel very much the background is there. This character, it reminds me of Jimmy Woo from WandaVision and Ant-Man and the Wasp, from the back.
The character that is kind of being like force chokehold in a way.
Yeah.
I don't think that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
they're kind of in like a fitted modern hoodie with a modern kind of hairline cut in the back of their head. So yeah, this is definitely leaning towards like this was drawn within like the last year or two, right?
So. When this came out, there is from the original, I guess the poster from the admins on this did say which film this should appear in. Now, do you want to know what that is to kind of add some where it could appear at, like how close this is?
The two rumors that I've been seeing is She-Hulk or Black Panther, right? What are those two going to be? And those are the two most probably the high-profile Marvel. That's all pieces coming out this year.
That's all That's all we have left that we know of.
Yeah, unless there's one that I'm missing, right? So it makes the most sense, I think, in Black Panther because we've even spitballed this between the two of us before, and in the past years, right? If you're putting Namor and his kingdom against Black Panther and Wakanda, what other kind of kingdom could you throw out there? Oh, you got Doom, so that makes the most sense. And can't you already imagine the post-credit scenes for Black Panther in your head, and it's Doom, right? I mean,
he's the one pulling the strings the whole time.
Yeah, I can't think of a more perfect way to introduce Doom than in a post-credit scene. I mean, it just seems like you got Thanos' DNA in there ready to go.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. Doom almost seems like too big of a character to show in She-Hulk, but possibly teased, right? We thought that we were seeing like Von Doom like donut boxes or whatever in one of those early trailers for Moon Knight. So maybe She-Hulk is where we see like the first like thing of like Victor Von something, but it's like blurred off and it's like a newspaper on the floor in the background.
I think the opportunity with She-Hulk, and that's not the way I thought you were going, is that it is a sovereign nation that does not do extradition, right? So if someone's running from She-Hulk legally, they would go to Latveria and ask Doom for help, or like, hey, may I stay here as refuge?
Or just casually drop the term Latveria in She-Hulk, and then kind of just setting the seeds. Either way, we want Doom. Doom is the most untapped villain right now, probably outside of somebody like a Magneto, which you have to establish, mutants first, which we'll talk a little bit here at the end of the show.
Yeah, villains of this caliber in the MCU are there are a few staples, right? It's a couple tent poles. Doom is one of them, obviously. And
if I had like to pitch like my own Doom. Like I just want to see a guy who is kind of like ruling this like Eastern European nation, and he's just, from his point of view, right, he's just like seeing the world fall apart around him, right? Half of his country disappeared and then came back, and we have all of these different invaders, these different superpowers, and he's just this relatively little country, and they got nothing to hang their hat on, right? So maybe he courts like some sort of magical spell or something, or maybe he finds some sort of cosmic thing that imbues his army. I just feel like there's a narrative there, right, where you can paint Doom as like a bad guy, but also he's a good guy in the sense of he's just looking out for his own country. So you can kind of paint those shades of gray in there, if you will. So I think they got a lot of opportunity here with this character.
Well, to me, I'm going to go a little farther out and say that maybe Latveria is another hidden country. Wakanda's been a hidden country, right? No one knew about it till they came out publicly. Or it was, but it was just a bunch of fields, right? Maybe Latveria is a country underdeveloped, but this is the underneath Latveria is where the actual country thrives. If it's in Black Panther, I'm going to assume Black Panther before She-Hulk to see Doom. Is that, Atlantis is another nation that exists from the public eye that is not known. So he could be the person's like, look, for me to remain hidden, I need to put these other two hidden countries at war with each other, and then that's the end credit scene kind of things. Like, it was me the whole time kind of deal. But I don't know who he's revealing it to. If I guess visually, if the look comes down to this classic Doom look, which we have to take with a grain of salt, maybe it's more traditional of his nation rather than what kind of person he is, right? As the leader of Latveria over the years, you have to wear this outfit because it's part of the role you play. Because this is literally, he's got the big metal things on his chest with the chain between them and the belt buckle that's like, 5 inches wide there across his belt. And possibly, is that like an Iron Man-esque armor on his arms? Like, I don't think he's covered in metal. Like the comic book version sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, do we see like vibranium kind of like come back into fold, right? Maybe that's an invasion reason for Latveria to take on Wakanda. They got all the vibranium.
And he's got like hinges in his armor here, right? It looks more, not modular, but like, what am I looking for here? It's got very movable sections of his armor. So maybe he is a black market person as well. Like he's seely buying old Iron Man stuff on the black market, infusing it with Black Panther claws that maybe looks like on his arm there. I don't know, but I want to know. That's the best part about this. I want to see how they do it, and not like they've done Doctor Doom in the past, which made him look like he had covered in melted trash bags from your local Kroger in the last one.
Yeah, I mean, if we're pitching this perfect idea of him showing up in a post-credit scene of Black Panther, I doubt we get any more of this at Comic-Con or D23, right? Yeah. You want to keep that a secret, even if it's like so heavily rumored that you even have like an actor out there or something that's already said like, oh yeah, I'm playing like Doom. You still want that reveal to be as hidden as possible. So I don't expect to see much more from Doom until November, right? That's when Black Panther
November, early
Gotcha.
November. So yeah, I don't think so either, but it's fun to see it and see that they are literally trying to be close to the comics as possible, right? They're not reinventing the wheel here. To make him look like melted trash bags. So take a look at that link. Obviously, it's in our show notes, as always. Speaking of Black Panther, new merchandise leaks show the Ironheart armor we covered last week. The Okoye and Shuri images that we've seen before merged and added on Nakia with her own little set of green armor. So everyone here has their own color to distinguish them from, but it's very interesting to see them all together on a shirt that says Wakanda Forever, really pushing the female empowerment of Black Panther 2, because obviously Chadwick Boseman's passed, they've not recast him, he will probably not be a big part of this movie.
Also, just big confirmation here, if you didn't need it already, that Ironheart will be debuting in Black Panther.
With a V1 armor, meaning her show might be more advanced armor along the way, right?
Yes,
we're not going to get a show about her armor. She will obviously have it here if this is going to
Yeah,
come out.
Chris luckily spared me a synopsis that leaked for Black Panther the other week, so I'm sure he knows a little bit more than the general listeners out there do. So we'll do our best to keep it secret and not spoil too much. But it does seem like Ironheart is going to be a component of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, as will Namor as well. It seems like that this is kind of the components of the film that are laddering up. We haven't heard a lot of whiffs or rumors, at least of Doom being an antagonist.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a big late game reveal, right?
Yeah.
But the news out there on the wire is that Marvel's Hall H panel next week, we will see that Black Panther trailer.
Yeah.
And if you're worried that like, oh, I'm not going to be at Hall H, I'm not going to see it, as far as I can tell, with the release date being so close, right, that this is going to be the premiere of the trailer. They do this all the time, right? It premieres in Hall H, and then the marketing team that runs Disney's YouTube channel, they post that trailer the second Hall H gets it as well. So I think everyone's going to be able to see the Black Panther trailer by this time next week for sure. So we're going to get a lot of information, I believe, out of that.
Yeah, 100%. I would be very surprised if that's not the first. She-Hulk might be the first thing, but if Black Panther isn't the second thing they do because they go in chronological order, I will be very surprised.
Yeah, we are like, a month? I think we're almost like a month away from She-Hulk, right?
Yep, August 17th. So
yeah.
I bet She-Hulk will be first. A new trailer for that. Black Panther first trailer. I honestly, if they don't do a Black Panther trailer next weekend, there will be leaked footage of it. We'll find it, but I think they could possibly wait a little bit longer. But we're gonna get some confirmation. If they don't bring up again the actor who is playing Namor on stage, again, it's gonna blow my mind. It's one of those things. I think they're gonna do it again because that was huge for him 3 years ago when they brought everybody up on stage there. So.
Do you have any like dark horse wishes, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily brand new things announced, but do you think we're gonna get updates on anything? I would love to hear just a little bit more about Blade, because that was the big announcement last Comic-Con, which was now 3 years ago.
3 years ago this weekend.
Right?
Yep.
I'd like to get some Blade news.
I agree. Blade would be fantastic. Other than a voiceover at the end of Eternals. I think, to me, speaking of Eternals, what is the next Eternals? Is there one, or is it, where are these characters going to go? Because we've seen Kingo's name pop up in Miss Marvel. I'm pretty sure he's going to pop up in the next Loki based on a poster. What are these Eternal characters at and going? Because they split them into two different groups, right? They went two different, or there's the one with the Celestials and the other one in the ship out in space. So I honestly, despite that one being very low on our list for Phase 4, they put it out there for a reason, and now those seeds need to grow a little bit and give us some fruit from them. I think the other thing for Phase 5 or whatever announcements is go ahead and give us Doctor Strange 3 and not make us wait 6 years in between movies. Like that, I think that would be fantastic for them to go ahead and be like, all right, Doctor Strange 3, here you go. We either get Sam Raimi back, or we have we're working on a director, but like here's a date for it, kind of thing. Or here we're going to announce it down the road. So I don't think, honestly, I want to see some of this Phase 4 start paying off pretty soon, right? I don't want to wait again for forever. So that's my dark horse wishes, Mike. Off the top of my head, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, the Blade one would be great.
Yeah.
Like we said, probably not going to be seeing anything from Doom. I would like one brand new thing announced. Mm-hmm. That would be great. I don't know, something that we've never even heard of. Wasn't even out there in the ether. Brand new character. Like, Chris, would you lose your collective mind if they threw up a logo of Sentry?
God.
No TBA date. Just say, hey, we're working on it. I mean. Yeah. He's like a big character they haven't really tapped yet, and it seems like
WB's not using Superman, so
something like that, just something brand new that we can sink our teeth into would be great.
Well, what if it was possibly the X-Men, the first X-Men announcement? Would that cover that?
I mean, if it's not going to be at Comic-Con, like we said, We got two big conventions.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if there was not some sort of acknowledgement of mutants or X-Men in these two big conventions. That are
maybe get Steven Spielberg for the X-Men movie. No, I don't know. All right. Well, let's move on to our last bit here. Miss Marvel, the season wrap-up. If you've not watched this show, go watch it. Come back. Listen. If not, you want to watch this. There's no reason you wouldn't want to watch this show. You should watch every Marvel show. Whether they're good or bad, they're all going to pay off eventually. You're going to have to watch them eventually. So Miss Marvel, we are doing our season 1 wrap-up here and talk about it. So spoilers, full spoilers ahead, Mike. Ready?
Yes.
You've watched this, right? Okay, because I was like, yeah.
Chris out here telling you to take your medicine, whether we like it or not. You got to watch this stuff.
You got to watch this stuff to be in the know. I think, for me, because you very much said it earlier, Miss Marvel is one of my top 2 Disney Plus shows by a long shot. And, people will agree, they'll disagree, whatever. The biggest flaw of the show is like every other Disney Plus show, Mike. I think you can agree. The villains are little to non-existent, right? There's hardly any villains here. However, as a little bit of an origin story for the character, getting her bangles, having a fun time. This show is absolutely fun throughout. It's colorful. It's full of culture for people from Pakistan and Hinduism. Really loved all of that. It feels like a different show, but I also love how they kind of embrace, to me, Spider-Man Homecoming vibes, right? Like the dynamic texting in the screens, the artwork, the style, the music was really fun. I songs I've never heard. I feel like the music really captured me. I had a really great time with it. But like any other Disney show, it's not perfect. None of them were perfect. They all are way too short for what they're trying to do, and move way too fast. At the end of the day, I think people are always going to talk about the ending scene, right? That was it not the post-credit scene, but like the first ending scene, if you will, where what's his name? His name starts with a B. I'm gonna ruin it. It's not Brian. He called him Brian to make fun on accident the whole time. But his friend said, "Hey,
was it Bruno?"
Bruno, yeah, Bruno. You have some sort of mutation, and obviously that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't say mutant, but they play the X-Men '97 theme song, like the little da-la-la-la, and you're like, oh fuck! Like literally in that moment, I was like, I didn't just hear that, right? Like I'm not having a stroke here on the couch, like thinking like I did that to myself. Like I played that in my head when I heard the word mutation. Went back, listen. Of course I did. People will talk about that forever, but as a story with heart, family, set with kids, it's PG, not PG-13. This is a really, really fun show for me, and I was really thrilled to see it. And the ending definitely put some ideas in my head about where this is going to go and what her actual powers originate from as well. So
yeah, well, I feel like I could start off by saying definitely positive things about the show, because the actress which they recruited to play Kamala is great. She's infectious, right? They just did what they needed to do right there just by casting her. This almost kind of actually mirrors a little bit with the Captain Marvel movie, right, where they just were trying to launch Brie Larson as the character in the universe, and they did that successfully, whether or not the story was super compelling. And I feel a similar way here, where we have successfully launched the character of Miss Marvel. She's just great to watch on screen. She's very infectious. I love her whole family dynamic. It's just great, and I love her cultural background as well. I feel like this is almost weird. Like, I don't want to call myself out by saying I don't know my world history, but I feel like I learned a lot about the history of India and Pakistan with this show. I could say something very similar when it comes to like Black Wall Street in Tulsa with the HBO Watchmen show, right?
Yep.
So I think this is always great when a TV show can just elevate you culturally, right? You might just say like this stuff is just like dumb, boring superhero stuff, like that's not really pushing the envelope, but the fact that they can just take kind of like a very casual Western audience and just educate you on something that you would never seek out on your own, I think is really positive. Is not only did they kind of develop the story around it, like I thought the second to last episode maybe was one of my favorites of the show, because I loved kind of like going back in time and kind of like seeing her
Her grandmother.
Great grandmother. Right?
Great grandmother. Yeah. Great grandmother. Yeah.
Yeah, and going through that journey, and then Kamala seemed, I guess, as they are stating, did some sort of time travel. Like she was the reason that
her grandmother found her
grandmother. Yeah, made it back. I'm trying to get the family lineage there in my
Their
head.
names are very similar too along the way, so that didn't help from a cultural point of view. I'm like, who's Aisha and who's the nicknames are all over the same, Nani and Beta and all that fun stuff. So yeah.
So I thought those things together was strong enough for me to say the show was successful, and I overall enjoyed it. But there's definitely some things that I did not like. Like you said, Chris, the villains are kind of either non-existent or an afterthought. Like when the bad woman, like I don't remember her name, when she kind of turned into a skeleton, which was a jarring effect, but it was kind of funny. Like I was like, ha, they turned into skeletons. I just thought it was really funny when it happened.
They also kind of did like I'd say maybe a jab or an homage to the Inhumans crystallization effect.
Yeah, maybe. That's actually, I kind of got that vibe a little bit from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when we got to see that. But when she died and she went away, like, I felt literally nothing. I didn't really care. I wasn't really connected to the character. And also, it didn't really seem like much of a triumph either. Like, Kamala didn't defeat her. She just kind of defeated herself in a way. Yeah. So, yeah, the villain's not much to take home. And then even in the last episode, we kind of fall back on Marvel's favorite thing to do, which is palette swap the villain, right? Now we have somebody doing their crystal powers, but the crystals are a little bit of a different color. But they're just not as good at controlling them, so that's how our hero gets the upper hand. So that was all, and it's kind of like, okay, whatever. And then if we just have to go ahead and jump into the mutant thing, we talked a little this offline before we started recording the show earlier this week. But the mutant line did not hit me like it hit you, and that's not an indictment of anybody that really enjoyed it. But to me, it kind of fell flat in two ways. We got the X-Men theme already just a couple of weeks ago in this Doctor Strange show. So the riff just wasn't as special to me. I'm not saying it wasn't a clever way to add it in, right? But it just hit me less hard than if this was the first time I was hearing it, right? And then to add a little bit of a backstory to it, there's a quote out there from the creator of the show where she was basically kind of saying, oh, Kevin Feige called us up and basically blessed us and said, you're the show that's finally going to get to say mutants, right? It's going to be you. So she was very, very, very grateful that they are the ones that kind of gets to deliver this big thing into the universe. And dropping it in a Disney Plus show, I don't think it's necessarily bad strategically, right? Like we were saying earlier with She-Hulk, right? Lay the seeds in a Disney Plus show and then maybe go big with the reveal in a film. I don't think that's necessarily a bad strategy. But two things really bug me here. One is I understand Bruno is this smart guy, right? I hand-waved it a little bit when he was building some of this tech stuff in a way because, okay, we've seen like these teens do some smart stuff. Even when I rewatch Spider-Man No Way Home, it's still a little hard for me to believe that Tom Holland's Peter Parker can like jump into like Tony Stark's like condo lab and build all of these like super microchip stuff. But I can kind of hand wave it in a way of like, we've got to experience Peter Parker for a while now, so we like it. But Bruno, I can't believe that Bruno has any sort of microbiology background and can identify mutant genes in any way, right? We've only established him as a smart guy with technology.
Well,
like you
so,
can't just just hand wave that he's smart and he can. Oh, I've looked at the genetics of your family and it looks different. To me, that was just a step too far for believability. From my point of view, I don't know. What did you think specifically about him being able to identify the mutant gene?
Totally fine, because he doesn't say mutant; he says mutation. I think by you saying he said they're mutants is a way oversimplification. Like, they're mutants in the MCU. Yeah. No, he just says when
you tie it with the X-Men theme song, you're all but
right.
saying
But he's not saying you're mutants and here's your mutant power. I think saying why does her brother? Can her brother? It was a fair question. Can her brother use this band? Like, who is it? Just her who can use the band, or is it anybody? Fair question, right? Was it just dumb luck that she found them along the way, right? Like, it's like dumb luck that Captain America was able to use this. It was only one of him. So I think the fair question is like, can he use it? we looked at biology and say no, he can't use it because there's different. And you're not like a normal person.
I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad question whether her brother could use it, but as of right now, we haven't really seen that as an issue. Right. It's not like we've seen her brother and Kamala literally up against the corner. Kamala's like knocked unconscious, and the Bangle's just there ready for him to put it on.
But
like,
I don't think you need. I don't think you need that situation. I think her brother being there, which was a part of her family. I think he was there in the final fight, even with this. I think it's fine. Like, even Cameron is part. Like, the whole bloodline is if you're one of the clandestines, right? So it's a fair question to ask. But it's fine. I can hand wave it because literally it's there are gods and monsters and other things in this universe. She's from another dimension. I can hand wave another kid being smart and just looking at blood. It's fine for me. I'm not losing sleep over it.
For me, the last thing was, and I alluded to it already to you. I think it was on like Friday when we were chatting about it. To me, Kamala, whether or not you want to say she's mutant or not, they say mutation. I think they're heavily implying it in a way. It just seems like a hat on a hat. I just watched 6 episodes explaining where she gets her powers from, right? They wrote this whole brand new story, right? Because they did not want to do Inhumans, which was fine. There's nothing that's rubbing me the wrong way if they want to create a new origin for her, right? So they're kind of creating this idea of Jin right there, and then all of a sudden we have, I see it. I see exactly how you made her character, where she's getting her powers from, this whole origin, this family and lineage. Why does she also have to be a mutant? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's a hat on a hat. I don't get it. It's just, I'm not saying it's going to be too complicated. I'm not going to be able to follow it, right? But, like, it just seems totally unnecessary.
There are 2 things here. First, I agree with you. As an Inhumans fan, I agree. The original creator of this, Amon something, I can't think of her name, and G. Willow Wilson, wanted her to be a mutant. But at that time, Kevin Feige wasn't in control yet of Marvel, and they were like warring with Fox over mutants. So Marvel Comics said, no, she has to be an Inhuman if she wants her powers. So her coming back to be a mutant, having a mutation, totally fine with that. Doesn't bother me as an Inhumans fan, as long as stuff's still there. The other part of that ties into the end credits, I believe. Her wrist powers, I don't believe, come to her because she's a Jinn. I believe those are, as we saw on the blue person early on, remember it was in episode 3, I believe, they got him off a blue wrist of a a dismembered arm. At the end of the episode, she swaps places with Captain Marvel wherever she was in the universe. These are alluding to that these items are Marvel Comics negabands. Negabands are things the original Captain Marvel, not Carol Danvers, the original Captain Marvel in the comics had, and Rick Jones. I don't know if you're familiar with Rick Jones. He's essentially he was essentially the Hulk's like Bucky Barnes for a while there, like his sidekick. So whenever Rick Jones hit the Bangles together, he would physically trade places with Captain Marvel, kind of like he was like becoming him. But we come to find out he was just like literally being sent to where Captain Marvel was and changing places. So I believe that it will come down that we'll find out that she can possibly do her powers, become a polymorph with her mutation, but right now she's channeling it through these negabands early on in her life. So the negabands, we'll see at the end of this trade place. Captain Marvel was we don't know where, and now Miss Kamala is there. Captain Marvel's on Earth in her bedroom. The next movie we'll see them in is The Marvels, right? Because it said Kamala Khan will return in The Marvels. I think we're going to find out the bands aren't part of her power set because they stole them from the Kree, and she was able to channel her negative, or what was it, the newer dimension power through them. Her mutation will become something else later.
I'm not saying what you're saying like doesn't make sense or it doesn't lock up, but like now like a character is being pitched with 3 different power sets. She's got the Jin Nor power, she's got this bracelet that's channeling Kree stuff, and then she's also got this mutation on it. It's like, what is she just gonna have everything? Like, give her the superhero soldier serum while you're at it. Might as well have them be on the same spaceship with the Fantastic Four when they get hit by the cosmic rays. Just load it all onto her.
I don't know if
it just seems crazy.
I don't know if she has any newer / Jin powers, though. That's the thing. I don't think anything is giving her those abilities. Whereas I think the other kid got some, but like I don't think she has any newer abilities. Anything she was doing was solely with her bracelet. And I think those will probably be removed in the next movie. And I'll be damned if I'm not surprised if they make her and actually like her body transforms in the next movie. Like goes full on. Like you don't need these. You can become whatever you want by becoming what the polymorph, right? That we've seen in like the Avengers games and comic books.
Yeah,
at the end of it.
I mean, when we were talking about Miss Marvel earlier when the show was premiering, I was saying that, I wasn't really on board with the crystal powers really in any way, and we got a big crystal explosion, in that last episode when we had two kind of crystal foes fighting each other, and like the more crystals didn't make it any better for me either. I did kind of like the gymnastics that it takes for her to move around through the city with the crystals, like her running on the platforms. That was fun. I just thought it was visually exciting, but the combat with it just was just kind of like, this feels like a less entertaining Green Lantern in a way, right? Where like, you really only know how to make a fist, like I'm not saying like even if she could make like, I don't know, something an anvil, it would be more exciting. But yeah, if there was a future where they abandon crystal energy in a way, but it just seems like they just put so much effort into laying down that line. Like, why would you just abandon it already? I don't know.
Yeah, and if they keep it, I think it's fine. They just got to refine it, and I think she needs training, right? I think as a kid, she doesn't know what she's doing with it. She's just throwing out crystals as she's doing it. But it would be fun to see her possibly do her drawings, like her little things that she does, and convert those into crystals. Like, hey, now I'm like creating things from my mind with them to become, like you said, more fun, like an anvil, a big hammer or something, a huge baseball bat. I don't know. To fight with. All of that
being said, it's obvious if you hear the tone of my voice that all of these things like really annoyed me, and I wasn't really particularly excited to see any of them. But I still overall am positive on the show because, like I said, the things that I liked were so good. So like, kind of like when a part of the story or the show was like getting me down, I would just imagine her in the future, like in like a young Avengers like setting, right, palling around with other superpowered people. Like I'm excited for that thing in particular.
I'm very excited.
What I'm looking for.
I'm very excited to see her actual Captain Marvel and Spectrum team up with their abilities being very different, right? More so than I thought they were. Because if she's from the newer light dimension and there's a character called Spectrum who can see the spectrums of light, correct? Like, or wavelengths, and then tie them with Captain Marvel who's, Tesseract powered. I think there's a lot of opportunity for her to be a great addition to the upcoming movie. And see her interact with all these, especially because, like you said, the actress, Aman Vellani, she's very much plays that fangirl, plays that excited youth really, really well across the board. And then at the end, the post-credit scene in the bedroom was filmed by Nia DaCosta, who is the director of The Marvels. So with Brie Larson in there, and Iman, she directed it. So I think it's a fun little quote unquote Easter egg, I guess, in the end of it, to bring up, I guess. Because that was fun. But overall, I think, to me, people who are on the fence on this, watch it in one go. You'll have a good time. I don't think there's way more good than bad for everyone to find in this series, and they can enjoy it. Because I think a lot of people are like, I don't know about Miss Marvel. I'm like, yeah, but by the time I was done, I'm like, this is way better than even I expected it to be. And I think that's why I hold it up so high, because I had middle of the road expectations being an Inhumans person, knowing her in the comic books, but how the heart and soul and stuff they put into this show really come across throughout. So
overall success. Would recommend it, which I'm pleasantly surprised to be able to say. So looking forward to her new adventures, and her on the big screen, right? We've only seen her on the small screen. I think that'll be great. And honestly, despite all the articles about Marvel and VFX artists this week not being good, I think if she has her crystal powers, having the movie studio budget probably might make them look better for you along the way there. Yeah, maybe.
And then the other thing, before we get, you did send me this TikTok about how all these MCU Phase 4 things were filmed this week, right? About they were all filmed all at the same time.
There was this TikToker, which I really appreciated because she did the homework.
Yeah.
Which I love it when people have opinions and they do the homework. and her name is, I believe it's Mac, M-A-C, Mac Reacts.
Mac Reacts,
so
yeah.
if you Google that, I think you can find her on TikTok. She sit down and did the homework and looked up all of the production schedules, and she did all of these different sources to see when all of these Disney Plus shows were filming and when they were in production, and just to see, if you have a particular opinion about the Disney Plus TV shows, maybe having similar issues or maybe even similar bonuses, things that you like, right? It's because they were all made like at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just talking about Loki and WandaVision and maybe after those ended they started kicking up and working on Hawkeye. Like, no, like all of these shows were almost all made within the same window. Like, they were either in pre-production or production or post-production, kind of like all around like the same time. So it's if Feige is the super producer that we know and love, and is also looking back out at the audience and responding to feedback, right? We can only assume that after She-Hulk, because I think that production cycle went all the way up to She-Hulk, whatever is coming out after She-Hulk could theoretically be kind of adapting to maybe some of the criticisms that have been out there for the shows. And it could just be more of like practical things, right? Like, oh, maybe we want to add 1 or 2 episodes to the order so it doesn't seem like a stretched out movie or like a rushed series in a way. Or maybe they are going to look at the movie and streaming landscape a little bit more and like pivot and, let's, call back to stuff that we've done already in the Disney Plus. So there is hope out on the horizon, because as of right now, if I look at the Disney Plus Marvel landscape, I would say I'm very lukewarm on it overall. There's definitely stuff in there that I like. I can remember moments sitting on the couch and going like, oh, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm seeing this. But I can think of plenty of other moments where I'm practically rolling my eyes. So this is hopefully good that after She-Hulk, even though I have high hopes for She-Hulk and I still think it could be good, whatever we get after She-Hulk, we could be seeing some new pivots from like Marvel Corp when it comes to these shows. So if you're feeling the same way, there's
I think also, and I brought this up, is the release schedules should have been added to her research, because one of the important parts is this WandaVision would have actually ended the day before Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, not a year and a month or 2, right? So could you imagine watching WandaVision on a the Wednesday before and then going into Doctor Strange the next week and seeing that movie?
It does make me wonder, though, would that been even of a harder pivot, right? Because Wanda almost ends on like a very optimistic, hopeful note in a way for somebody that just went through such a huge tragedy.
Not with the Darkhold. Not with that Darkhold scene, though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, they're explaining a lot of this on the Darkhold, but like the Darkhold's kind of sprung on us for the most part. If you weren't really watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a way.
Well, but still, but I think there are also scenes they cut from Doctor Strange that would have tied into this more. Like, there's a whole scene where a whole action scene where she is hunting Mordo in 6-1 or in the actual like movie universe, the regular Mordo, and kills him because he's trying to get the Darkhold from her.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
that actually would have been a really good addition to the movie.
That's in some posters. That's how the movie would have cold opened. Would have been her hunting Mordo, and Mordo, I guess, doing his no more thing. That's why we don't see him in the movie. But at the same time, they would have been able to make the movie to work in that a little bit better. But because I think there's more things they could do to tie in together, right? Falcon and Winter Soldier ended a year and a half ago, and almost a year and 3 months, and they're like, oh, we're gonna get Captain America 4. Well, they haven't even really given us anything on Captain America 4. Like, I wish these would hurry up a little bit faster and tie into things. Like, the ending of this show literally ties to The Marvels, which is next summer. So we're like, oh, we gotta wait another year. Like, now we're in a waiting game, and I wish they would. That's the best part of the MCU things. They always they don't lead into the next thing, but they kind of give you some hope, right, for the next. Oh, like, we know where this is going. Right now, nobody knows where this is going because it's all dropping on us so quickly, and I don't think the bigger picture is becoming as available for everybody. But I would be interested to see, again, like you said, the next set of shows they've announced. Secret Invasion, Ironheart. What are a couple others in there? I don't even remember. I just know those two because they're at the forefront of my mind all the time. But I agree. I've linked this video in the Miss Marvel section of our notes, so if everyone wants to watch it and add their thoughts to it as well. So yeah. Also, with this Miss Marvel being right before Comic-Con, makes me think they're going to do an X-Men movie announcement. That's why I brought that up, Mike. I think saying the mutation, doing the theme song, doing it in there will be fun to do that. So yeah, we'll see you next week. All right, everyone. If anyone wants to know what you're up to, what you're doing, Mike, where can they find you at?
Oh, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. I'm probably going to be tweeting out these announcements next week as they come in, like literally because, A, that's how we found out them from Twitter was 3 years ago. We were on Twitter refreshing our hearts out. But also, you know, if you guys want to get the news before you have to sit down and listen to us on Monday, that's the best way to do it. People know about the show, what we're doing, get ready for our super-sized San Diego Comic-Con episode. Where can they get ready for that at?
Oh, all you have to do is visit superheroslate.com. That is the home for all things Superhero Slate. You can get our awesome show notes. So if you want to see that leaked Mandalorian trailer, we got that in the show notes. If you want to see that look at Doctor Doom concept art, we got that in the show notes as well. We also have our awesome upcoming release calendar that I'm sure is going to get a big old update next week after we get a lot of this Comic-Con announcement stuff. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out. What are your superhero Comic-Con predictions? We want to know. I might make a bingo card. We made a bingo card last time around Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, when that movie came out. Maybe we should do a bingo card just on Comic-Con in general. And then if we don't get the bingo, we'll just hold on to the bingo card until D23, and we'll finish it off right there. That could be kind of fun. So, yeah, maybe we'll put that out in the ether. But if you're a super fan of the show, if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. We'll be every week, folks.
Yes, that's right. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.